This Soonerscoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. Don't miss a moment on or off the field. Make every day a highlight with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIK.
Hello and welcome back. Eddie Radosovich, Bob Przybylo here from the Soonerscoop.com studios. Thursday, February 26th, a home opener at Loves Field. Finally, welcome back. 15 games away from Loves Field, but Oklahoma softball 13-2, coming off of a 5-1 run at the Mary Nutter, and a lot of wins ahead here during the 14-game home stand that Oklahoma will open on Thursday. Bob, welcome in.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you look at what they were able to accomplish at Mary Nutter, and what we said is, like, we need to learn something here because the next 2 weeks, a whole lot.
Did we learn anything out at the Mary Nutter?
Well, we learned that, you know, what Patty said, and I asked her, you look at last Saturday, what sort of message did you give them following that type of day where you lose to Long Beach State? And, I mean, you win against Cal, but 7-5, no one's really gloating about that. And it's like, if you think you can just stroll in on here because you're OU, play average, and you're going to win, that's just not the case. And we're seeing that across the board. This is not an OU-centric problem. This is a college softball deal. The mid-majors are making their run.
Oklahoma opened with a 6-5 win in 8 innings at the Mary Nutter over Cal State Fullerton. They come back and win 10-2 that night. That was last Thursday night, and a game that started at like 11:15 at Oklahoma
ended at
time.
1:38 in the morning.
I'm sure that you were up for that. That was a 5-inning game too, 10-2. 11-1 over Duke, number 14, number 20, depending on what polls you look at. And then they had the setback against Long Beach State, 6-4. As you said, they come back and beat Cal 7-5, and then got out of town with a 15-2 stomping of Washington. We'll get into plenty of what Patty Gasso had to say. Kendall Wells is D1 National Softball Player of the Week. Unbelievable start to her career. First, let us tell you about our good friends over at Lucy. 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco-free. The Lucy Breakers are nicotine pouches with an extra surprise. Each pouch holding a capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. What you're going to want to do to set yourself up with a subscription, we've done that here at the Soonerscoop.com studios. Go to lucy.co/Soonerscoop, lucy.co/Soonerscoop. As you see there on the screen, you can use the promo code Soonerscoop, pick out your favorite flavors, whether it be the mint, the mango, the berry citrus, apple cider, the espresso, the wintergreen that's a favorite around these parts. Pick out your favorite milligram as well. Multiple choices to choose from. And then it will be delivered straight to your door. If you don't want to wait, just go to lucy.co/stores and find Lucy near you and grab it today. Lucy's the only patch that gives you long-lasting flavor whenever you need it. Get 20% off your first order when you buy online with the promo code Soonerscoop. And as we said, if you don't want to wait, just go get it yourself. Lucy.co/stores to find Lucy near you and grab it. Here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. Thank you to our good friends over at Lucy. We also want to tell you about our fine friends over at Cheers. Get these pills out here for you. Very easy. You've heard me and George talking about it. We're getting to the point of when you go out on a Tuesday and you have a couple beers, responsibly, by the way. This isn't for you psychos that are out there drinking a handle of tequila every night. But when you're drinking responsibly, after your final drink, before you go to bed, take 3 of the capsules, and you'll be feeling much, much better in the morning. As seen here on Soonerscoop, George gave his testimonial just the other day. Sold in 30,000 stores, including Walgreens, CVS, 7-Eleven, Circle K. You can find Cheers anywhere. Sold over 50 million doses, 7,500 4- and 5-star reviews on Amazon. If you don't want to take my word for it, you can do so. All you got to do is head to cheershealth.com. For a limited time, our listeners are going to get 20% off their entire order by using the promo code Soonerscoop, as you see there on the screen, at cheershealth.com. Just head to cheershealth.com and use the promo code Soonerscoop for 20% off. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them, and you can please support our show by telling them that Eddie and Bob from Soonerscoop.com sent you, or maybe just throw in George's name. Thank you to our good friends over at Cheers. All right, we'll clean this up. Might need those here after the last couple days. Going to be hitting it hard. Got a wedding this weekend, so I'll be using that for sure. All right, let's talk about Oklahoma softball. 13-2, obviously coming back. This weekend slate, as it stands, Thursday, Alabama State. That's the home opener over at Loves Field, where they've run off a 51-6 record since 2024. Last season, they were 25-2. Then you have Sam Houston State, Alabama State, Friday, Saturday, doubleheaders. Southeastern Louisiana coming in on Sunday. So, yes, I don't know if we're going to learn a whole lot more about it, but maybe a chance for Kendall Wells to add to her sterling total. She's hit a home run in every game but one out in the Mary Nutter Classic, leads the SEC in home runs, third nationally. I know that there was a lot of sky-high expectations for her. I think she's met them and probably exceeded those expectations.
Yeah, I was like, I get it. I know she's going to be pretty good, but let's not act like she could be National Player of the Year type level good. But the way that she has performed initial 3 weekends, I mean, you could not ask for more. So that made me wondering what's going to happen with Isabella Emmerling.
Sure.
And somehow she has found a way that whenever her number's been called to deliver time and time again. So this is just a great problem to have for Patty Gasso, and you're seeing Kendall and Bella both become more than catchers. They're both trying to play first base. That, as Patty says, if you're going to play here, you need to be able to play multiple defensive positions, and that's exactly what they're doing. But it is ridiculous what Kendall has done to start things off. These are just no doubters. They're just gone.
They, with the wind, when it turns around here in Norman, she might be taking aim at the tennis courts that were over by Marita Hines Field, which is like, I don't know, 1,000 yards away from Loves Field. OU as a team, 56 home runs. They're 6 ahead of their pace that they set through 15 games, at least in 2021, when they set the national record. Kendall Wells has been a big part of that, slugging just over 1,000 right now. 354 average, 18 runs, 21 RBIs. And if you listen to Patty Gasso, it's not just her presence at the plate. It's behind the plate as well. She's a veteran, it seems like.
Yeah, she's been able to call pitches for a couple innings, and they just feel like she got this moxie behind the plate, this sort of confidence. And Kendall's like, that's just how I've always approached the game. Like, I'm never really concerned about what's going on when I'm out there because I feel so confident in my own abilities that I'm going to be able to get the job done. But I'm very intrigued, excited to see her in person for the first time coming up this weekend.
It's incredible. Here is Patty Gasso talking about her phenomenal freshman catcher, home run hitter, Kendall Wells.
If you sat and watched her, you would never believe that she was a freshman. She has some saltiness behind the plate. Like, she'll stand up and start throwing a third before an umpire even calls strike three, that kind of mentality. I've got to talk to her about that. I'm glad I said that. It reminds me to talk to her about slowing down with that. She has a good rapport with pitchers for her age. Offensively, I've seen Jocelyn Alla, I've seen Lauren Chamberlain. This is something new. This is different. It is some of the most elite power I've ever seen from a young player. And she came in like that. It's not like we had to build her into that. She came in like that. Now she's getting all the hows and whys from JT, which are making a lot of sense to her. So hitting has become very easy to her. I think we're just trying to help her with posture sometimes, adjusting a few things here and there. Mentality with 2 strikes. She's hard to strike out, but sometimes you can see her frustration get the best of her, and she'll waste that third swing. So she learned a lot this weekend, I thought. We faced some elite pitching, and so she got to see what that really looks like.
We knew that OU was going to be good offensively. It's not just Kendall Wells. Oklahoma currently, from a national perspective, they lead the country in home runs. They've hit 56. We've established that. They lead the country in on-base percentage. RBIs per game, 11.6 RBIs just total, 174. Runs per game, just under 12 at 11.87. Total runs, 178. Slugging percentage, 877. Of OU's 178 runs, 176 have been in scoring in an RBI situation. It's a monster right now offensively for Oklahoma.
It is, and that's you almost hear Patty trying to rein it back in, because I don't know if baseball had this problem too, but after the tournament in New Mexico and El Paso when you just
34 runs against UTEP.
It's a little bit of a rude awakening when you play a team with a pulse again.
Sure.
I don't know if baseball went through that with Coppin State and then going to Arizona. Like, it's a little bit, you still expect to win, but you remember, oh yeah, there's other teams that are going to fight back. And she was very concerned about that second weekend and what it would do for like a false sense of confidence. And so that's where you look at a day like Saturday is you're not happy in the moment, but that might be a good thing for the team in the long run to be able to understand, you can't just show up and dominate. You're going to have to put the work in to make that happen. And you look at this lineup, you believe 1 through 9, like someone can do something special every single time they're up.
Every Sooner that has earned an at-bat this season has at least 1 home run, by the way. 6 have at least 5 home runs through 15 games. I'll say that again. 6 different players have at least 5 home runs through 15 games. I don't think those fences are being moved back anytime soon at Love's Field. I would imagine they're going to be able to do that quite a bit this season offensively. Last week we were talking about the pitching, though. What did we learn about the pitching staff in the circle for Oklahoma over the course of last week at the Mary Nutter through the 6 games and moving forward? Has anybody established themselves? I look up and I see Audrey Lowry and Miley have their 12. Is it Miley?
Yes.
Did I say that right?
You got it.
Yes. Did it right.
Wachengo.
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 We're gonna take some time on that one. With that said, 12-1, 55 strikeouts, 13 walks, and 59 innings pitched. Are we looking at Audrey Lowry and Wachengo as maybe the 2 lead dogs here in the circle?
At this moment, yes. Now, Sydney Berzon can absolutely get into that spot, and maybe she did. Maybe she turned a corner, what she did against Cal, and sometimes it's that adjustment. Al Storacco, you had Kelly Maxwell, you had Sam Landry, you're the workhorse at your previous school. Now you come to no one's asking you to throw 250 innings, but you got to be ready for that spot duty. Like maybe you had a couple innings to work out the kinks. Here, you might be just asked to throw 3 innings. You're not asked to throw all 7. And so Sid's kind of going through that adjustment period, but she did so well against Cal. Very intrigued to see how Patty and Carly decide when to throw her out throughout the course of this weekend. But with Wachengo, that was a really nice weekend. She gave up the back-to-back homers there in the final game against Washington, but settled down. And, I mean, that's Patty's goal, to have as many aces as possible so that you go into every single weekend not knowing who's going to get the ball on Friday.
If nothing else, I would imagine over the next, let's say a month, just before you get into SEC conference play, which is right around the corner, believe it or not. I mean, they're, 15 games in already to the season. It would seem like you could develop a little bit more confidence in the circle here moving forward with some of the teams that are on the schedule. Obviously, there should be a lot of wins. Let's just be blunt about it.
Should be a lot of wins. Should be a lot of 5-inning games. So you're not going to get as much
work. A lot of work in the 3rd inning, writing that story to get done.
Not as much work with the pitchers. They shouldn't have to throw a 6th or 7th. But, yeah, very nice situation for them to build up some confidence. And for some of those pitchers, like Wachengo, like Berzon, to get an idea of how to pitch in Love's Field.
Sure.
Not just in a practice setting, but in a live game setting with 4,000 fans cheering you on, learn how to communicate, learn how to call your game. And so, this is one of those, it's hard weekends because if you shut them out, that's what you're supposed to do. If you give up any sort of runs or any sort of
going
trouble,
on? Why?
What in the world is going on?
They're
here?
going to finish 3rd in the SEC, not be in contention. Tennessee, Texas, Texas Tech, Florida, your top 4. OU drops to 5 after, I guess, they get dropped because of the loss to Long Beach State, which maybe that was just her being Patty's way of giving back to her former university, the school that she graduated from. All in all, though, you do look up and down, and baseball's seen this a little bit as well. There is a certain level of parity right now in college softball as well as college baseball that you look at some of the scores coming out of some of these midweek games or even over the course of the weekend. It's like, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, the note, and we mentioned Southeast Louisiana coming in Sunday. They've already beat Oregon this season. So that's one of those mid-majors that's already gotten one on one of the big dogs for this season. And so I'm sure some of that's the transfer portal. Some of that is just catching up. Like OU set the standard for so long. People are like, how can I try to get there? I'm sure they've learned some things from watching the Sooners. And, yeah, it's almost reached a point when conference season starts, you're not going to bat an eye at any sort of loss. It's like as long as you stay the course and you still feel like you're getting better, you're improving with each weekend, you're going to be fine when May comes around.
With that said, it does feel like there's still a pretty elite tier that you can have, and maybe those top 5 teams, Nebraska all of a sudden sneaking up into the top 10, as well as Arkansas, Alabama, UCLA, Florida State to round it out. Patty Gasso did talk about the parity at her press conference. You can see the entirety of the press conference. What was it, about 20 minutes, 18 minutes on Tuesday? But here is the GOAT, Patty Gasso, talking about the parity in college softball.
I think we'll feel it more, sure. I think that teams are just all catching up to each other. There is a separation, I'd say, at the top, but there are teams like Louisiana, who's coming here this weekend, who's knocked off Oregon. And there's good teams out there that can do it if you're not playing your best, like Long Beach did to us. So when they get those opportunities, teams make the most of them. They play their hearts out and make plays that maybe they normally don't make or things like that. And that's what Long Beach State did against us. And if you don't answer back, that's what will happen.
So once again, the schedule for the weekend, you got Alabama State for the season opener. Oklahoma's won 31 consecutive home openers. I would imagine that number is going to go to 32 after Thursday night. Sam Houston State, Alabama State, doubleheaders Friday, Saturday, rounding out the weekend with Southeastern Louisiana. Maybe it will be a game that they can, tip the cap to Bauer Sharp. How about that?
Oh,
it
man.
should be
That's
a lot
a name I didn't expect to show up.
He's coming back on Sunday.
Stickball.
He's coming back on Sunday to throw out the opening pitch. No, probably not. Anywho, been an unbelievable start.
Yeah, I mean, they're ranked, 5 or 7, depending on your poll. You're seeing the offensive numbers that you fully expected. And, just with the Jen Rocha, Carly Keeney situation, it's going to take a while for the pitching staff to find its groove. These next 2 weekends give you best chance to do that before you hit the gauntlet that will be SEC every single weekend.
It's crazy to think that conference play is like basically just right around the corner. But then again, OU women's basketball team's playing their final home game on Thursday night as well, just across the parking lot at the Lloyd Noble Center. So transferring over to baseball, I might have watched the worst college baseball team to ever play in Norman, Oklahoma last weekend with Coppin State. God love them. 51-7 or 57-1 was the combined
51-7 would be cause for concern.
51. If they would have scored 7 runs, that meant that they would have had more runs than balks that they had over the course of the weekend, and they left with more balks than runs. Bad baseball team. Bad baseball team. With that said, a little bit of reality check coming in on Tuesday, Wednesday. Oklahoma loses their first game of the year to Arizona State. Run rule fashion. It was kind of funny. I didn't even think about it, but when we got to the 7th inning on Wednesday, it was like, we've watched 5 games here. This is the first time they've gotten to the 7th inning after the 3 run rules with Coppin State, and then obviously not getting there on Tuesday. You bounce back, though, 4-3 on Wednesday, so you split the series with Arizona State. I kind of walked away thinking the Arizona State's going to be okay. We'll wait and see, though, before we crown them. They're going down to Globe Life Field this weekend to play 3 more SEC teams with Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Mississippi State. So we'll find out a little bit more about them. But they did. They kind of whooped OU's ass on Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, you're feeling awful. But then when you looked across college baseball scoreboard,
I
don't know if Skip talked about it, but you think they've made
there was
a little bit better. I mean, a lot of teams took their first L.
There was no morale
Tuesday.
victories, but Georgia Tech gets beat. Arkansas loses to Arkansas State on Tuesday. There was one more. Tennessee lost 2 of 3 to Kent State over the course of last weekend in Knoxville. There's a lot of parity. I mean, it feels like there is at least. We'll see. It's still way early, but I still like a lot of what the pieces with this Oklahoma team have. I think the first thing that sticks out to you is depth, and I think that you look at whether it be, Dayton LaChance and Brendan Brock, who've been phenomenal. We talked about them last week coming in from the JUCO ranks. Camden Johnson goes 2 for 4 on Wednesday night, has an RBI single that just kind of kept Oklahoma within the game because they were down 3-0 after the first inning. Brendan Brock hit a solo home run. All of a sudden, it's 3-2. They got phenomenal pitching from the bullpen. Jason Bowden was really good. Trent Collier pitched on Wednesday. I think that's a name that Oklahoma fans need to familiarize themselves with from the left side, as well as a couple others. Jackson Cleveland, Miami transfer. I think he might end up being your closer. Before it's
that's
all said and done.
Sort of what I was thinking.
If Jason Bowden can be the guy that you want him to be in like the 7th and 8th inning, I think he'd be a good bridge guy for Oklahoma. There's still a number of guys that haven't pitched this season that they feel like by the time conference play rolls around, using Briscoe Smith from Marlowe as an example, they think he's going to be dynamic out of the bullpen from the left side. So there's still kind of waiting on a couple of arms. The pitching's obviously been exceptional. You look back at last week against Coppin State. Again, not a great example of what they went up against in terms of competition, but Cam Johnson was great again. LJ Mercurius was really good again. Cord Rager was really good again on Sunday. It's starting to feel like that's your starting rotation, at least on the weekend. I know that obviously Cam Johnson and LJ Mercurius were going to be those two guys. You were kind of wondering what they were going to do with Cord Rager. Gavin Jones, wouldn't say that he struggled in his first start on Wednesday. He gave up 3 runs, but he walked 2 guys, and then they had an error that kind of opened the door for a couple of runs there. But overall, I think he's going to end up being your midweek guy. How
important were those final 8 innings to just keep it at 3?
Oh my gosh!
So that
it meant everything. I asked Skip after the game on Wednesday. It's like I don't want to make a bunch about a Wednesday night game in February, just as much as you didn't want to make it on the other side of it when you were on the flip side of a run rule on Tuesday. But it did, I think, show you a little something, and for them to be able to keep that thing together from a pitching standpoint, give yourself that opportunity only being down a run in the 9th inning, I think it's good news. It's a good sign because, I think Arizona State's a pretty good baseball team. We'll see. Gonzaga coming in this weekend for a 3-game set. You got Dallas Baptist. The old
That's
Dallas
all
Baptist.
Social media is talking about.
It wins the Dallas Baptist game.
Yes.
They've been a thorn in Oklahoma side. That's coming up on Tuesday night in Norman. So they're in the middle of much like the softball team, they're in the middle of a 17-game home season.
Right? It's crazy. It's late February, and it's 70 degrees.
It's beautiful out. I would imagine the Kim Ray Baseball Family Stadium is going to be packed this weekend just as much as we're going to see someone like Love's Field packed out this weekend with the weather. You got to be able to take advantage of it this time of the year.
I mean, this is tremendous. And going back to Wednesday, perfect guy to have up with a chance to win the game.
Oh yeah, Jackson Willits. I mean, I think he doesn't have like a C on his chest, but I think it's pretty well known that him and Jason Walk, Trey Gamble, those are kind of the leaders of the team. And Jason Walk's had a little bit of a slow start offensively. He's made some phenomenal plays defensively, though. It's going to be interesting to see. And I think that's like one of the number one things that you're looking at here moving forward is the outfield, like how they juggle because they have so much depth. But to answer your question, Jackson Willits, it was kind of funny. They had him bunt on, they had a runner on second, the game-winning run on second with no outs, and you're trying to lay down a bunt. He can't get it down, pulls back, slaps it through the left side of the infield. You win the game. The first thing he said was, I got to get that bunt down. But then Skip comes in and says, he was giving Reggie Willits a lot of hell for putting the bunt sign even on for his son. I think that's the bat that you trust the most. And for him to have 2 strikes, which has been kind of a little bit of a staple of Oklahoma's first 8 games of the season, is they've been really good from an approach standpoint, had over 40 walks against Coppin State. That had more to do with the pitching staff that couldn't find the strike zone. You're still taking those walks, though. You're still being patient at the plate and not trying to hit the 5-run home run that's going to change the game. So it's a lot about mentality, a lot about approach at the plate right now. And they're doing really good things with 2 strikes and 2 outs.
One thing that Patty has done a lot through the first 3 weekends is maybe play someone 3 or 4 innings and then defensive sub and try to, because of the depth.
Sure.
Is that something Skip tries to do, or is he more like whoever plays this day, that's who's going to play?
Maybe not as much, but you have seen, and you saw it on Tuesday night. It was a blowout, so they were trying to get some guys in. You had Deshaun Harris come in, play center field. Jason Walk moved down to second base. They've talked about Brendan Brock being able to go from catcher out to the outfield. It's kind of like what Patty has said, and we were talking about this last week when she was talking about You have to be able to play multiple positions. I think you're seeing that a little bit with baseball. Dayton LaChance, when he's not behind the plate or at DH, he's done a little bit of work over at first for Dayton Taki, who scuffled a little bit at the beginning of the season. But you go back to Wednesday night, they didn't have a base runner from the third inning until the eighth inning with 2 outs even, when Dayton Taki came up and had a pinch hit walk. He looked at 4 balls, which I think is like a good sign, because he wasn't trying to, even though you're down a run, he wasn't trying to swing out of his shoes and have a solo home run that tied the game. He was just trying to get on base to pass the bat. So it's all good signs. I mean, anytime that you start off the season 8-1 through the first 9 games, you feel pretty good about it. We'll see, though. It's college baseball. The big questions about what this team can be are still to come. And you look at the SEC, damn near every team you play is going to be in the top 25 at some point.
So now look into this weekend. Gonzaga, I remember them a couple years being decent.
Yeah.
Is this a better team, worse team than where they've been?
This isn't the team that came to, or OU went up to Spokane and played. And they had a really good pitching staff, I remember at the time. Not so much right now with this Gonzaga group. So it should be much like softball, maybe some run rules, win a series, maybe you drop one. You would expect to win 2 or 3, though, and then you roll into the Dallas Baptist game next Tuesday before next week, and we'll catch up then to talk about it. So that's going to do it. Really good starts for Patty Gasso and Skip Johnson. It's been actually phenomenal starts. I mean, you look at the scores. What are they? Combined 23-3, I guess, or 21-3, 13-2, 8-1. So, Bob Przybylo, you'll be out there at Love's Field. Should be a lot of fun this weekend. I'll be bouncing around Kim Ray family. I know I'm going to be out there Friday, probably Sunday. Got a wedding Saturday. It's Gonzaga, though. You should be able to get through without my help. Okay? For Bob Przybylo, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We'll see you back here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel.